Hey, welcome to the Dreppin' Stone podcast, a podcast where two friends raise a glass and have a conversation. I'm Nick.
I'm Kyle.
Did you? What'd you
That
turn
was my
into?
digital flair.
Well,
Did you hear that? I
did.
went all like digitized.
No, you sound like Porky Pig.
That's the Dreppin' Stone podcast.
Yeah, it wasn't digital. I mean, it did sound digital, but it came across.
Be honest, you thought I froze up there for a second.
Yeah, I definitely did because
Yeah.
I don't trust the interwebs as
Yeah,
much because like I've been burned before. Listen.
For sure.
Multiple, like I don't trust it until I go to edit this episode. Like, okay, we actually got it, and it sounds okay.
Right. You're recording now? You're sure?
Yeah. All of that to say, yeah, we are recording through the magic of the internet because I just got back from a trip, and you're about to leave on a big trip.
Yeah. We planned this summer out really well. You did a nice big Euro trip. I'm about to do a nice big Euro trip, and we miss each other by like half a week. So we got to get things done.
I mean, as we're wont to do, we do kind of batch some of these summer episodes, and then at some point we were looking at the calendar, going, "Oh boy,
Oops,
we got to figure this out."
Yeah.
So because we couldn't, get the stars to align and get together and record, this is the next best thing, I think.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting. This being our summer of cocktails, this is going to hit towards the end of that collective series.
Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah,
Not the last, but like towards the end.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a hell of a summer.
It really, truly has. Like, we've done so many different things. Like, I was going back and I was like listening to the episodes and kind of just just checking over things as I do every once in a while. I'm like, man, caipirinhas and New York sours, hell yeah.
Yeah, all over the place with them.
So that means we're continuing these summer cocktails, as you just said, and we are doing the gin and tonic.
The G&T.
As you know, and some of the listeners do know this as well, I just got back from Scotland, and I got to tell you something, man. I might have had more G&Ts than I had the whiskeys.
No way.
It might be like 1 for 1. It might be equal.
I didn't get very many pictures of G&Ts. I got a lot of pictures of scotches.
That's true. Well, listen, let's be honest. Like a G&T is not necessarily the prettiest cocktail because you got clear liquid and clear liquid in a glass.
Yeah. It's not the most photographic.
Correct. So, I mean, sometimes, you throw a lime in there. Sometimes you'll throw a couple other things in there. But for the most part, it just looks like bubbly water in a glass. So it's not the most, photogenic, photographic drink.
Fair enough.
I would say,
but those damn Glencairns make a real cute picture, I tell you that.
Exactly. And you got some variety in that there Glencairn lineup as well. So
Yeah, nice value scales.
Exactly. That's what I was looking for, word wise.
There you go.
Have you had a gin and tonic in London?
No.
Okay, so in the UK, and I don't know if it's a UK specific thing, but it feels like it. A gin and tonic comes in this or at least everyone I ordered comes in this really big, almost like balloon glass, like you would use for like a big red wine, and it's like almost like a goblet on a stem, and
Sure.
That is now my preferred way to drink a gin and tonic.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'll
not
be
just
honest,
in a rock glass.
I've actually never ordered a gin and tonic ever.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, it's honestly a gin and tonic is my kind of go-to cocktail. Just in terms of if I don't. No, I'm not gonna. Okay, if I don't necessarily trust this place, or if I don't know this place, and I don't want to pay $16 for some fancy cocktail that I'm not sure if I'm gonna like, I'm just gonna go simple and easy, gin and tonic.
What do you think is gonna normally be your gin if you just order a house gin and tonic?
Ooh,
Are we going beef eaters? You think?
No,
that'll two upper.
No, not 9 times out of 10. If I order a gin and tonic, I'm gonna specify the gin. I'm not going to just order a house gin and tonic. It does happen occasionally, but I'm going to specify the gin, and I'll go one of 3 ways. This is where I am. One of 3 ways.
Yep.
If it's here in the U.S. and they're a very good bar, they're going to have gray whale. If they have gray whale, I'm going gray whale.
Right.
If they don't have gray whale, and to be fair, like gray whale that I've seen here is pretty much it's still a really craft thing. So it's way hit and miss. So
Right.
not even like your super nice cocktail bars are going to have it. It's more like a craft kind of thing. But if they have it, that's what I'm going with. If they don't
Right.
have that, I'm either going to go with the Botanist or with the straight up regular Hendrix.
Gotcha.
Yeah, both Scottish gins.
Yeah.
What about you? Well, you said you never ordered one, but like when you're getting when you're making a gin and tonic at home or any sort of gin drink, how are you? Where do you go?
It's usually either the Botanist or Gray Whale. I mean, we've built up our gin collection here at the Drep household. So we've got some Aviation. We've got a couple different varieties of Hendrix. We've got some Gordons.
Ooh,
that London Dry. Yeah, no, it's usually either Gray Whale or it's the Botanist. Kind of depends on if I'm wanting something sweeter, if I'm wanting something more herbally delightful.
why is a gin and tonic not something you order?
I think honestly, it's just not in my wheelhouse of flavor profile. Like I certainly love the gin and tonic. Any time that I've had one with you or any other time, like it's delightful. Bourbon cocktails are kind of just more like comforting, I guess.
Yeah, I get that.
Old fashioned's where I started, and it's an easy go to. But if I'm at a nice dinner or something like that, like I'll probably lean Manhattan, Boulevardier, somewhere in that realm. But like I rarely ever look to the gin forward cocktails in those situations.
Yeah,
because they are so much more to me like lunch, brunch kind of things.
I can see that for sure.
And I don't know. I just rarely ever lean that direction.
See, and I think that's why I do lean that direction is because I want something light and I want something kind of like to bring up the levity, if you will. But there's something to me about like the simplicity of it. I don't want to say like it's hard to screw up, but like the simplicity of it. There's something within that. There's 2, maybe 3 ingredients, and here's the thing. It's kind of like my perspective on like black coffee. Like I'm not opposed to a cappuccino. I'm not opposed to like a flat white or something like that. But like a black coffee, there's something about the simplicity of it that like I'm just drawn to it. And in this case, a G&T, there's a bit of a lightness to it. Like honestly, it's my go-to airplane cocktail.
Makes sense. I think that's my problem with it is I don't have the go-to situation for it.
Sure.
In that realm, I don't have the specific event and circumstances where the gin and tonic has been my go-to.
Yeah, I get it.
In your realm of perspective, is the tonic essential?
Oh, you have asked a very serious question, my friend, and the answer is absolutely. For me, it is.
Yeah.
You mean like the type of tonic?
Just like tonic versus seltzer.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, for me, it's got to be tonic. Like I'm not opposed to just straight up seltzer, but there's something about the tonic specifically that I think I really like. That like just a little bit of bitter going on, the slight bit of sweet just elevates it just a little bit. Yeah,
fair enough.
For me, when we go make ours, I know we're teasing everybody, but I have a specific tonic syrup that I really like, and I'll talk about it. But if I'm out somewhere. And if I get a gin and tonic and it's not just, from a soda wand thing and I have the option, I'm going to go with a Fever Tree tonic.
There you go.
Yeah. I'm not opposed to the Schweppes and I'm not opposed to the
Seagram's?
Doesn't Seagram's have a tonic?
I would assume so.
Yeah. I'm not opposed to either one of those. I don't really like a store-bought tonic like a
great
store
value.
brand. Yeah. Like a store brand tonic. But if given the option and I can't get the tonic that I really want, which I'm going to talk about in a second, I will go with a Fever Tree tonic because it is it's really good. Yeah. All right, so we've talked about gin and tonics. Can we go make one?
Yeah. You thirsty?
Very.
All right.
Gin and tonics in hand.
G's and T's all over the place.
I know and recognize that we've done gin. We've even thrown some gin in some tonic, but these are our current gin and tonic iterations, if you will, in the summer of cocktails as we kind of see it right now.
Yeah.
So everybody who's like writing in right now as like you're reading everything and listening to everything, you're like, hey, but you guys did the thing once. Yeah, we know. but we're
Sure,
revisiting.
we've dipped into stuff that we've done before. It's not a
Oh yeah,
first for Dripping
no,
Stone.
definitely not, definitely not. But I figured that because again, summer cocktails, we needed to hit a classic cocktail. So
Yeah.
in this glass, I've got a classic cocktail.
All right. So yeah, we've got these classic cocktails. Tell me, Nick, curator of gin and tonic cocktails,
Uh-huh.
what do you put in yours?
All right. Currently, I am working with, I've got the Botanist. I finished a bottle of Gray Whale before I left for my trip, and I haven't had a chance to get some more. So I have the Botanist on hand. That's the gin that I'm going with which fits perfectly because I just got back from Isla, and it's an Isla dry gin. I go 2 ounces of the Botanist, and I put that over ice. I fill my glass. In this case, I'm using like a kind of a larger tulip glass, if you will. I don't have the big bowl glass yet. Fill that about halfway with ice. I pour 2 ounces of the Botanist over that. And then I pour 1 full ounce of what I consider to be the best tonic syrup. And I think we've mentioned it before, but this is the Jack Rudy Cocktail Company Classic Tonic Syrup. So what this is, it's not a tonic in the traditional sense. You know, you open a can or a glass jar or whatever, a glass bottle of already made tonic. This is a syrup that you then put into your drink, and then you're going to top that with a seltzer water to make your tonic.
Gotcha.
And this stuff comes out of Charleston, South Carolina, and it is by far it makes, to me anyway, the superior tonic water once you kind of mix it. And then, so I add an ounce of that into my gin to kind of mix it up a little bit. And then I add about 4 ounces, maybe 5 ounces of seltzer water. And then I mix it up just a little bit, not enough to disrupt all the bubbles, but just to kind of get it commingled. And then instead of lime, I'm putting really hefty cucumber wheels in there. And that is my current go-to for the gin and tonic. It's light, it's refreshing, it's got little hints of sweet from this tonic syrup. It's got some really nice cucumber notes because, you know, you throw in the big cucumber chunks in there, man. Again, I'm going to say it like I said a couple years ago on one of our videos. It is, to me, the superior summer lawn mowing, post anything you want cocktail.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. It's a very refreshing. If you're absolutely sweltering out in the sun, I mean, it hits the spot. Did you say you put any lime in it or no?
No, I did not put lime in it.
No lime at all. Man.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you something. That's a recent thing for me within the last like maybe 6 months of going sans lime. I love lime and I love the lime in the G&T. But
right.
since I just started putting in the cucumber, I'm able to get more of the gin that I'm using, and I want that because I like the gin and I like the gin to be accentuated. So I've gone sans lime just so that I can get more of the gin notes, especially if you're using a high quality gin. Yeah, buddy.
Does the thing.
Yep. All right. So for you, what is your G&T go-to right now?
My current G&T go-to, which is, I'm starting off with Gray Whale gin.
Yeah.
I'm doing an ounce and a half of the Gray Whale. Pound for pound at this point in time in my exploration into gin, that can't be beat. Just haven't found anything that can top it.
It's so good.
On top of that, I put a half an ounce of the Empress 1908 gin.
Ooh.
Just to be fun. Got a bottle of that the other day. It's got a little color to it, just to add a little bit of a blushing color to it.
It's like a bluishy, purpley color.
Yeah, probably put about a half ounce of lime juice. Did probably about a half an ounce of simple syrup. Gave that a shake. Poured it over ice. Topped it with seltzer on top, and said bottoms up.
What's cool about that and the recipe that you just mentioned is that when we think of like the gin and tonic, like we feel that it has to have some version of what we now know is tonic water, or in my case, tonic syrup to make it. And I don't think that's actually the case, because when you think of like what a tonic is, it's something that can be used kind of in a medicinal manner, something that has a little bit of the bitter and or sour notes in there. And I think what you've done is absolutely just perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, like do you need the quote unquote tonic aspect. You know, the quininated.
Like that was my question, because I knew I had some tonic in the fridge. When I looked at it, I'm pretty sure the expiration date on it was in March. So I said, nah, let's just go seltzer on it. It's delightful.
Yeah, and I know that there are people who are going to disagree with us, and that's absolutely fine. Listen, drink it how you want it. But I think what you've done is absolutely permissible, and I've done it myself at some point, and I know it's just fine.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, you get enough lime juice in there, and that creates a bit of a bitter anyway.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't feel like you need. Yeah, I don't feel like you need the quinine kind of nature in there necessarily, because, like, again, when you've got lime is such a it's such a strong thing that it kind of cuts through all of it anyway.
Well, and once you add in once the ice starts to dilute the beverage, once the gin kind of mingles with the lime, the limey tartness dissipates.
Right.
And the bitter lime is brought forward.
Exactly. What you've done as well also accentuates the gin. And to me, that's something that can happen in a lot of cocktails, is that you lose the base spirit, and so that you actually don't get you don't get to taste what the drink is based around. And
right.
In this case, I think you definitely do for both of our iterations here.
Yeah.
Like, you know, some people just absolutely despise gin. And I think that for the people that aren't big fans of gin, it's one of those, like, you've probably just tried standard, you know, Seagram's or maybe Beefeater or Tanqueray, which are not bad gins, but they can be soapy, if that makes sense. They can be, like, you know, people who are adverse to cilantro say that cilantro kind of can taste soapy, and people have that same experience with gin. But I've noticed in the world of gins as a whole that kind of once you get into some of the more interesting botanical gins, that's where that kind of tends to dissipate, and the beauty that can be a gin begins to open up.
Yeah, well, and I think too, gin is very, very much in the same way with whiskey, where if you've had an Islay whiskey and you're just like, oh no, whiskey's not for me, like, that is such a specific point of whiskey. Right. On this very wide spectrum of what whiskey can be. Like, gin is very much in that same concept of, you might have had one here where this is the way it was made there and it has this flavor profile, but what it can be is so broad that you can't just base your experience there, because it can be so many different things.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially because you have all of these distilleries who are making probably grain spirit products anyway, like Bruichladdich is the one who does The Botanist, and you have all these distilleries that are trying to put their own spin on it, so they're going to change how the gin is received by the consumer. So if you've got a gin and you don't like it, try another gin. And maybe you just do not like gins, and that's absolutely fine. But I agree with you. I don't think you should base your experience for all gins on a singular gin, just as you wouldn't want to base your whiskey experience on one whiskey.
Yeah, you're really closing yourself off to an absolute world of flavors.
And try a couple of different things to figure out what you like.
Which is what we're trying to encourage here on the Drep and Stone podcast.
Absolutely. Exactly. I literally had a conversation with someone the other day of like, well, how do you drink your whiskey? I was like, well, personally, I drink my whiskey neat and in a Glencairn, but I don't care how anyone else drinks their whiskey. Like, I'm happy as long as you're drinking whiskey and you're enjoying it. I don't care how you drink it. You know, if you want to take a 37-year-old whiskey and put it in some Coke, that's not what I would do, but you can do that. Doesn't matter to me.
But it might be delightful.
It might be delightful. Again, I'm not going to do it, but you can do it how you want. So all that to say, experimentation, and figure out what you like and figure out how you like to drink things, and don't let anybody tell you that you're wrong.
Correct. There is no right or wrong in this game that we play.
Right. It's just all about enjoying the thing. Experiment, enjoy, figure out what you like, and don't apologize for it. Live!
Thanks, Ted.
So much wisdom. Speaking of living,
yeah,
we said this at the top of the episode. I just got back from a big trip. You're going on a big trip, which got me thinking about our topic for this week.
Yeah.
And that's in-flight entertainment.
In-flight entertainment.
So, do you remember planes before seat-back in-flight entertainment?
Oh yeah, sure.
The in-flight entertainment, in terms of like what it is now, whether it's an app or whether it's like literally in the seat back, is in the grand scheme of aviation in kind of what we know it as, is relatively recent. I mean, I flew on a plane not 6 months ago that did not have any entertainment at all.
Yeah, same.
We were on a flight together that had zero entertainment.
Right. Yeah. It happens.
It does. So, okay, if you do not have or did not have the ability to be entertained, what would be your go-to entertainment for a flight?
For me personally, I've got a couple of different musical playlists downloaded onto my phone that in a dire situation I can just pop in the earbuds and zen my way to my destination.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be my most often used form of entertainment, is just close the old eyelids and vibe away. I'm not opposed to some sort of preconceived, if it's going to be an extra long flight, and I mean in something over 2 hours, then I might need to adjust that and maybe download a movie if it's not available, or bring a book to pass some time. But more often than not, it's just a playlist.
Yeah, see, I used to be able to, my MO was read, was, bring a book and entertain yourself and read. But there's lately, within the last like maybe 2 or 3 years, I can't do it. I don't know why. Like, I can't concentrate on the thing that I'm reading on a plane for some reason. I don't know why. You would think that like that's the prime location to do that, because you ain't got nothing else to do. You ain't flying this thing. But I
can usually like focus really well, because just the white noise happening, and like I can pretty well zone in and like just do the thing.
Yeah, I used to be able to, and I used to be able to, just get through a chunk of a book and be just fine. But man, something about the last couple of years, I can't do it. I don't know why. So now I rely on that in-flight entertainment, if you will.
Right.
Now I heavily rely on the provided entertainment. If I don't have it, like you just said, like I've always kind of got some playlists downloaded. I always check to make sure that there is some sort of like in-flight entertainment, or at the very least, I'll download a video or a movie to my phone just in case, like as in
right.
like my screen doesn't work or whatever. So I always like that's my go-to now.
Yeah, like what's really frustrating I've found recently is so many flights, especially on those longer, like transatlantic flights or something like that, are so much of the entertainment is built into the seat, and to be able to utilize earbuds, they have to have the jack, and that's an old school thing now. Like most people don't have that, and that's kind of frustrating. And so that's just another way they got you. I'm like, oh, so sorry. Did you want to listen to that movie? Well, you'll have to purchase the $10 earbuds.
Yeah. So
I
now fly with a very cheap pair. I think I got them from Delta, a cheap pair of earbuds, like just for that reason, like just in case.
Like that's got to be the play now.
Yeah, but those earbuds suck when they do that. They're like,
the quality's terrible, but
you want your free pair of shitty earbuds? Okay, fine. Give me that.
Yep.
Whatever.
Check. It's on the packing list.
Exactly. Yeah. And for me, it is just for that reason, because I've been in many situations where it's like, $10 for earbuds. I paid $10 for what? Come on. Okay. So on my flight, this last one, I was given the seat back entertainment option. Now, like usually there's a lot of really diverse entertainment options, right? Like it used to be, did you ever fly where like the screen came down out of like the bulkhead kind of area or whatever, and like
head kind of thing,
yeah, and everybody watched the same. Your in-flight entertainment is Scrooged, starring Bill Murray. Oh,
right. Or Debbie Does Dallas.
Not starring Bill Murray.
I've seen it.
I make that reference, the Scrooge, not the Debbie Does Dallas, but the Scrooge.
Yeah, no, I've seen Scrooge. Yeah.
Because that was the last flight that I was on that it was all right, your in-flight entertainment is, here it is.
Right.
And it was I remember it well. It was a flight to Las Vegas. And it was around, I think it was around Thanksgiving. So I guess Scrooge makes sense.
Yeah, I've never been on a flight that dropped down the screen.
Oh, no? Wow.
No. Like I remember seeing movies that did it, but like I was never on a flight. Which, like, fun fact, the first time I ever flew in a plane, being born in the early 80s, I didn't actually fly in a plane until 2002.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was my first flight, was September of 2002.
Wow. On my flight, especially on a long flight, I tend to choose movies that I tend to go movies. Like, you can watch, like I said, the diversity of stuff now, you know, you can watch live TV, you can watch news, you can watch, you know, whatever basically you want. There's whole like playlist and games and stuff like that, music playlist. But I tend to choose movies that equal the length of my flight or are pretty close to it. So,
man, it's tough on those 7-hour flights.
Well, yeah. So on this last bout of flights, I watched 3
Lord of the Rings.
If that was an option, that's what I would have done. I would have watched all 3 Lord of the Rings. Y'all got the director's cut?
Knock out the trilogy.
Yeah, exactly. But I try to choose, you know, movies that are longer, if you will.
Right.
And so that's what I did this time. I chose a couple movies that were longer, but I have a go-to airplane movie that, like, if there's just nothing in this playlist that I'm super interested in, there's a movie that I will choose. If it's available, I will choose every single time.
Yeah? What movie is that?
That is the classic. Scrooge? Yeah, absolutely. That Debbie Does Dallas.
Oh, man.
Yeah. No, I will choose Interstellar 9 times out of 10.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense, man.
Yeah. I've seen Interstellar more times than I can count at this point, but if it's on a flight and I have access to it, I'm probably going to watch Interstellar.
Yeah. Is that what you did recently?
I did. Yep. On this last couple of flights, I watched some movies that I was interested in and just haven't had a chance to see. And then I watched Interstellar, and it was fantastic. What about you? What do you have any go-tos or favorites?
I don't have a go-to on anything specifically. Like, I'll flip through it and see if there's anything that I haven't seen and have been meaning to. Then I'll go ahead and play that. Like, I can remember watching, for whatever reason, I remember watching Crazy Rich Asians on a plane for the first time, and I've watched it a few times since then because my kids enjoy it. Yeah, because it's just kind of a generic rom-com, almost like Nancy Meyers romantic comedy. But my most memorable in-flight entertainment experience was also with a movie by Christopher Nolan, but not Interstellar.
Tenet.
It was Tenet. Did I tell you about this?
Yeah, I remember we had a conversation because I think I watched Tenet on a plane too.
Last year on our way back from Europe, I started watching Tenet, and for that 7-hour flight, I watched Tenet probably about 3 or 4 times. But kept falling asleep and waking up at different points and just letting it play and then falling back asleep and then waking up 20, 30 minutes later and it's at a different scene, and would fall asleep and wake up and the movie's ended and would just restart it. And like, there's no better movie for that.
No, there's no worse movie for that, because you make an arduous, like, confusing as hell movie even more confusing.
But understanding the narrative of that movie, which is a circle.
Sure. Okay.
It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect for that. Because you fall asleep here and just continue the story and then fall asleep again until you get over here and you wake up, and it's just it's there's absolutely no better movie for that set of circumstances.
Okay.
Over the course of 7 hours, I probably watched it 4 times. I'm sure there was at least some part that I never watched, but there were like 3 or 4 parts that I watched every single time, and it was perfect. And it was like, somehow it was like I understood the movie so much better after that.
Okay, my experience with watching Tenet on a plane was I couldn't hear a damn thing. I didn't know what was going on. I had subtitles on, and I still was confused. So then when I watched it at home, I was like, oh, actually, this makes more sense than what I remember it making.
Was that the first time that you watched it?
Was on a plane, yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, I would certainly, the first time I watched Tenet at home, yeah, fuck that. Like, this makes no sense. But after watching it a few times and then having that experience on the plane.
Oh, so you had already seen it once before.
That's the right way to watch the movie. Yeah, I had already watched it and binged all the different critiques on the movie and stuff like that and the deep dives to where I felt like I understood it so much better. And then to watch it in that set of circumstances of watching this bit for a little bit, falling asleep, waking up, watching a little bit, falling asleep. Oh my God. Like, it was honestly, I think, the way that you're meant to watch that movie.
Okay, now that I know that, then yeah, I can absolutely see that. Sure. Yeah, because
it makes sense.
The movie doesn't make sense. So then when you fall asleep, you're like, oh wait, I'm filling in the gaps here. Take that, Christopher Nolan. Yeah. I get to choose.
Yeah, and then it ends, but then it restarts, which is kind of like how it plays out in your brain when you fall asleep and you just wake up and it's like, oh man, we're at a different spot. But is this before or after where I was? I'm not really sure.
And it doesn't matter.
But yeah, because it's actually both.
All right, so as we're wrapping this up, have you heard about this new or relatively new phenomenon that kind of is sweeping the in-flight entertainment world?
I mean, I heard about it today, and you kind of shocked the pants off of me when I read it.
Yeah,
but I'll let you explain it.
Okay, I'm not super keen on the name here, but it's called raw dogging while you're on a plane.
Yeah.
And it sounds super sexual.
That's whoa.
Yeah.
When I read it, I was like, nah, didn't know that was a thing.
Speaking of Debbie Does Dallas.
Yeah, wow. Raw dogging their in-flight entertainment.
That's exactly it. So I'm not exactly sure of the original origins of this kind of thing, but I know recently there was a series called Hijackers, and it starred Idris Elba. And I know that just in this quick article I read on the New York Post, this idea actually precedes Hijackers, but just recently, because Hijackers came out last year, it's called it's not Hijackers, it's called Hijack, and it stars Idris Elba. It came out on Apple Plus, I think, last summer. But in that series, Idris Elba's character his plane is hijacked, and he is then forced to basically just watch the map of the plane, or maybe he chooses that. I don't know which, but the map of the plane on this relatively long flight. So people, primarily men, have now taken it upon themselves to do this exact thing, where there's zero entertainment. There's, you don't drink water, you don't eat anything, you just watch the plane on that, in-flight entertainment map.
Right.
And it's called Raw Dog in the Flight. Thoughts?
Let me get the plot of the thing. His plane gets hijacked?
Man, you're asking me a question that I don't know. I haven't seen it. But yeah.
Okay. But this is the way you understood it? It was that his plane gets hijacked.
Yes.
And he just decides to sit there and watch the map?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I've done it. I've pulled up the map, and that's in instances where I don't have access to visual entertainment. The map is always there. The map is always available. So you can always click over to that, and then I've got my vibe going. I've got my music. I got my chill playlist booming, and I'll sit there and just have that map up. Not that I'm constantly watching it.
Yeah. But
I'll have it there just to kind of give me a sense of orientation of where I'm at on the globe.
Sure.
But this idea of raw dogging, of doing nothing else and just that, I have no context for that. I think my brain doesn't allow for that. It needs other.
Well, and that's the purpose.
At least that's what these people are saying. At some point.
That's the purpose. That's what these people are saying. It's and it's, among these social media influencer type people where it's man, I just did a 13-hour flight from blah, blah, blah to blah, 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 just me and the map. And it's the purpose is to challenge yourself and let your mind kind of do that, what you just said. And like,
Okay. I mean, if that's the thing, sure. Maybe that is like a very Zen kind of
right.
meditation state. And for somebody that's like, if that's like part of your day to day, is like you do a lot of commuting via flight, and you see that as like a bit of a challenge, as a bit of a Zen thing, man, knock the hell out of it.
No, you know what you do? You record yourself for about 30 seconds to make a TikTok video, and you put raw dog this flight for 13 hours, and then no one's going to know the difference, and then you click over to Interstellar and watch Interstellar 4 times anyway.
Yeah, just loop it.
Yeah. Well, no, because you're only making a 30-second TikTok anyway, so no one's going to sit there and watch you like, did he actually do 13 hours straight? No one's going to do that. So, say what you want. That's probably what they're doing. Because like it just seems like why would you do that? I mean, I guess to say that you've done it, maybe. I
mean, if it's like a mental challenge, I kind of get it, just like any other physical challenge. Like why would anybody do the Murph? Why would anybody run a marathon?
Sure.
Like why would you just choose to do that? It's like it's a mental struggle, just like any other physical struggle. So I kind of get that, honestly.
You got a flight coming up. Are you going to do it?
No, just like I'm not going to go run a marathon. I don't have any interest in it, but I can see how some people would, I guess.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I see how people would want to do that. I am not those people.
Yeah, no, like same. Like good on you if you find any kind of interest in it. Not for me though.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to see if I can maybe take a little medication, throw back a cocktail and see if I can't just pass out for that 7-hour flight.
Exactly. I will look at the map. I will see where I am in relation to some places, but I'm not going to sit there for 13 hours and stare at a map.
Are you a good in-flight sleeper?
No, terrible.
Yeah, me neither. Absolutely horrid at it. Like unless I get that window seat and I can position myself, but I travel with kids and they always want that window seat. So at best, I've got the aisle, or honestly, at best, I get the middle seat and I've got that kid next to me that is passed out and I can then use them as a prop.
Right.
That's best case scenario. And then I might get like an hour or so of rest.
Yeah. And in most situations, like it's not comfortable and there's no,
I try to get all the neck pillows and everything and try to do the sleeping thing, but just I never can get there.
Yeah, I've watched some really tiny people like fold themselves into an airplane seat and be able to like sleep. I have never been a tiny person.
Crescent.
Yeah. I've never been able to do that, and I don't think I'm ever going to be able to do that. And I'm okay with it, I think. On that note, you got anything else?
I've got a big flight coming up. Nothing else I can think of to talk about.
If you've got nothing else and I've got nothing else, I think we wrap this episode up.
Hell yeah.
Well, we want to know, what do you think about a gin and tonic? What is your go-to specs for a gin and tonic? What is your favorite gin?
Yeah, hit us up with that. Let us know.
We also want to know, what do you think about in-flight entertainment, and do you have any go-tos that you prefer?
Yeah, is it something that like absolutely puts you to sleep, or is it something that you try to get more engaged with?
And you can reach us through email. That's drepandstone@gmail.com. You can also get in touch with us through social media.
It's always one word, Drep and Stone, DREP and Stone. Wherever you are socializing media, we have been socializing media there also for quite some time.
Yeah, we got a lot of really cool videos going up. We got some summer travel videos and some tasting videos, all that kind of good stuff.
Lots of great stuff.
We'd also love it if you support the podcast. You can do so through our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/drepandstone. Helps keep the lights on and the fan spinning.
Yeah.
You can also support the podcast by rating Drep and Stone wherever it is you find great podcasts like this one. You can also support the podcast by getting yourself a treat on flavr.com. Use the promo code DSP10. And finally, Kyle.
Yeah, Nick.
You can support the podcast by grabbing a couple of our stickers and sticking them all over the travel destinations that you're traveling to.
It's a great idea.
Does the Eiffel Tower have a Drep and Stone sticker on it?
Maybe.
Does the Pantheon have a Drep and Stone sticker on it?
Absolutely it does. Right on the Oculus.
Is there a Drep and Stone?
And the Oculus is, in fact, a hole. So how did we put it on the Oculus? You're going to have to go and find out.
There's also 1 or 3 magnets on the Colosseum in Rome. Don't ask us how we did that. You got to go there and figure it out.
Right. And give us a shout out when you find them.
And if you're traveling to any of the major beer cities in the U.S., you better believe there are some stickers there.
You know it.
But if you want some stickers to stick in your travel destination areas, let us know.
Yeah.
Basically, we're saying to tell someone about Dripping Stone.
Indeed. Actually, did have a friend text us the other day that she was at a brewery somewhere in Orlando and saw our sticker and took a picture of it and sent it to us.
Nice.
Like, hell yeah.
That's great. That's so good.
Yeah. She's like, look at who I'm looking at.
On that note, hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
May your glass overflow.
And your ass never show. I mean, especially when you're on vacation and you're traveling around, you don't want to show your ass. Like, always represent yourself in a good way. But you don't want to have any part of you ever showing inappropriately.
Unless you're on a beach in Greece.
Right. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers. Just kidding. Can you hear it?
I assume it's playing.
It is playing.
I can't hear it.
Great.